All right, let's jump right in. If you're in the accounting world, you know the pressure is absolutely on. The work keeps piling up, the deadlines just seem to get tighter, and finding good people, well, that feels harder than ever. But what if there was a completely different, a smarter way to operate? Today, we're going to break down how US firms are building much smoother and way more efficient workflows.
Does this sound familiar? I bet it does. This feeling is shared across so many firms right now. It just perfectly captures that feeling of being completely overwhelmed, where the inbox never empties out and the to-do list, it just gets longer and longer. That's the core challenge we're really going to tackle today.
And that feeling, well, it drops us right into what we can only call accounting's pressure cooker. And look, this isn't just about being busy anymore. The entire environment, the whole game, has fundamentally changed. It's created this perfect storm of intense demands and, frankly, shrinking resources. So what's really fueling all this pressure? Well, it's a few things all hitting at the exact same time. You've got deadlines that are compressing, the amount of paperwork and documentation is exploding, and the talent pool to handle all of it, it's shrinking. And on top of all that, your clients, they expect faster turnarounds with, perfect precision. It's a really, really tough balancing act for any firm. This brings us to a really critical point. The old way of doing things, it's just broken. For decades, the solution to more work was pretty simple, right? Just hire more people. But that model, it just doesn't hold up in today's world.
So let's talk about problem number one. Hiring is just incredibly difficult right now. The number of accounting grads in the US is actually going down, and the competition for professionals who know what they're doing is absolutely fierce. And even if you do find that great candidate, just keeping them on board is a whole other challenge.
And okay, let's say you could find the people. The costs are just spiraling. You've got wages, benefits, training, recruitment fees. It all adds up fast. Trying to scale your firm just by adding more bodies to the payroll has become a really financially stressful move, not a strategic one.
And this one busts a pretty big myth in the industry, the idea of a busy season. You know what? That's kind of a thing of the past. Nowadays, you have audits, monthly closes, and fund reporting all overlapping. It creates this constant state of overload that keeps teams completely maxed out all year long.
And finally, there's this. Client expectations have totally evolved. They don't just want the numbers from you anymore. They want your analysis, your recommendations, your strategic advice. But a team that is just buried in routine, procedural tasks, they simply don't have the time or the energy to deliver that kind of high-value work.
So with that old model completely broken, where are firms supposed to turn? Well, the answer brings us to the solution we're looking at today. And it's centered on India, which has become the undisputed global hub for accounting support.
But why India specifically? Look, this isn't some random choice. It's the result of a really well-developed ecosystem. You have this massive, skilled workforce that's already trained in US GAAP and auditing standards. The time difference creates this amazing, natural 24-hour workflow. Work is literally getting done while your US team is asleep. And this is all backed by a culture of incredible process discipline, which means you get consistency. The result? A super cost-effective way to scale your capacity whenever you need it without the huge overhead of hiring.
Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like day to day? Let's break down this new workflow in action and see how this blended global model really works. So here, you can see a really clear division of labor for an audit. Your US-based auditors are freed up to focus on what they do best, the high-value, critical thinking stuff like final reviews, risk assessment, and talking directly to the client. And at the same time, the offshore team is efficiently handling the essential but more process-heavy work, like prepping work papers and running substantive tests. And hey, this model isn't just for audits. Check out how it applies to fund accounting. The US team is overseeing the big picture, strategy, investor relations, while the offshore specialists are providing that super precise support on the complex, time-consuming stuff, like NAV calculations, investor allocations, and all those reconciliations. It's really all about putting the right tasks in the right hands. Now, at this point, I'm sure there's a big question popping into your head, and it's a completely fair one. Okay, but if I send all this work offshore, won't I lose control over the quality? It's the #1 concern, so let's just tackle it head on.
And the answer is a very clear and simple no. You maintain complete oversight. See, the crucial thing to understand here is that this isn't a handoff. It's an integration. The offshore team operates as a true extension of your own team. They use your checklists, your templates, and your review process. You set the standards, and they execute. Period.
So when you put all these pieces together,
it becomes pretty obvious that we're not just talking about some temporary fix or a simple cost-cutting trick. We're talking about the actual future of operations for the entire accounting industry.
And this, right here, this is the strategic payoff. By building this smarter system, you free up your local team for that high-value advisory work that clients are actually asking for. You get better, more predictable margins, you build a workflow that's resilient and doesn't break during workload spikes, and maybe, just maybe, most importantly, you get happier, less burned-out teams.
I really want to leave you with this final thought. The firms that are winning today aren't the ones just trying to hire their way out of the problem. They're the ones building smarter, more flexible systems. This shift to a global workforce model isn't just some passing trend. It is the future of how efficient, scalable, and successful accounting firms are going to operate.